Hey everybody, what is going on? I am getting going this morning. I am going to get Michael going on a job that is pruning out a bunch of big dead in some cottonwoods. I'm going to pick up the small dump trailer today because the large dump trailer, which I don't own, has been being in use by the owner. I'm going to get Michael going, and then I've got to do I've got to input a county bid that I've been working up. Of course, I'm the last one to get the bid in again. So I've got to get that done. It's actually 3 different bids. They're working on a road expansion proposal. If history serves, I'll probably be the most expensive one, but whatever. It's worth getting the bids in to see. Sometimes you win them, sometimes you don't. But I'm offering a couple of services that others aren't offering, so there's always that potential of getting the work because of that. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Yeah, so we've had some mechanical issues recently. It's just an ongoing theme if you're in this industry. It just happens. So the skid needs 500-hour maintenance, and it's having a hydraulic flow issue. So Bobcat's been telling me they would be out here for a week and have not shown up yet, which is, it is how it is. I mean, my clients still deal with that with me sometimes, so I get it. It does get frustrating though when you don't even know what's going on. Every time I run the skid currently, I get a hydrostatic filter clog message, an an M0217 notice on the T770. So we'll see what happens when they get out here. There's some speculation that a part of the filter that I took out, which their system, I don't know how the other ones are because I haven't run a lot of newer skid steers. Of course, this is a track loader. They have these vertical filters, or I don't know if they're vertical, but they have a cylindrical filter that slips inside a chamber. It almost looks like an air element filter, and evidently there was a moment in time when they were manufacturing these during pandemic that some of the filters, a piece like a rubber cap would come off and get stuck down in there. The challenge is that the reservoir is full of oil. So if you didn't know, you wouldn't know to look for that because you can't see down in there and see if anything's interrupting. So I'm gonna see if he can figure out what's going on, because they were like, buy those little grippy clampy things that you push the end and like the fingers come out. And I don't know. Hopefully the mechanic can fix it, but I've also got to get the hours, everything done, because I do have a little bit of warranty left on the machine, on repairs on different pieces of equipment. I have about 20 pieces of equipment right now that even with regular maintenance, they're at that age, they need repairs. The stump grinder, the Kohler engine has a leak, and we think it's the crankshaft seal. We'll see. It's leaking from under the motor mount. It might be the oil reservoir coupler that goes on the side of the engine where the oil filter screws in. So we're not sure which is doing what at the moment as far as causing issues. The PT blew the engine, so the Power Track 425. This is the 3rd engine in that machine. I'm gonna do a full video on what's gone on with that machine, the pros and cons. Is it worth it? What to look out for and what to know about that machine. Do I regret having purchased it? Absolutely not. I think it's a great machine. It's not perfect by any means. It's not even the best machine out there, but for my needs, it's the best value. And so that's why I keep running it. It does have some definite maintenance challenges that we'll talk about, like I said. Lots of content I want to make, not so much content. Ooh, I'm gonna miss the pintle. That I have not so much time to make it all sometimes. And I keep psyching myself out because I don't get the same hits and views as other YouTubers, and I get it. I don't spend as much time on my videos, and I don't spend as much time editing, and I'm not going to. That's just the reality, because, well, I run like 3 or 4 businesses, and I'm only gonna do what I can do. So I did get the new GoPro 12. That's what I'm shooting on now. First thing out the door, I'm up in the tree. We're doing a cabling job. I thought it was running the whole time, and the battery door had fallen off. And so out of me thinking I had 6 hours of footage, I got 1 hour and 7 minutes. So yeah, there was that. But I've got a new door coming. This one has the side opening for being able to plug in a battery pack or a power source with the door being on there, which will be nice. I also have 3 batteries, so I have about 7 hours worth of runtime, which is nice. And we're going to keep shooting some stuff. Right now I'm getting this is my oldest trailer, no, second oldest that I own. This one though has made me by far the most amount of money. It's just a little 4x8 dump trailer, Big Tex. I gotta tell you, this thing's been through a few iterations and designs, and it's actually pretty good. Not complaining at all about it. I gotta remember to do my hitch before I run off, but I'm gonna show you a little bit about this trailer. So this was a quick, meant to be a month-long box that has lasted for multiple years. Of course, it's falling down in the ceiling. I got to rebuild this. I want to redo this all out of metal this time. I want to have fold down walls and fold back ceiling roof so that I can dump stuff in with the tractors when I need. And that angle in the front was actually there because if you look right here, a friend of mine who's a metal fabricator, when I was super busy, built a turret, and then we had a auto crane that I used to pick up logs and stuff with. I've got some video somewhere. I'll try to show you guys some video of me using that to load logs. This trailer has hauled a crazy amount of wood and made me a lot of money over the years, or I should say made the company a lot of money. I've never made a ton of money. I gotta revise some stuff. But that's why the angle's there, so that the crane could be at an angle back and the cable would tie to the back and keep it cinched. This time I don't have that, so I'm just gonna make a straight box. Give me a little bit more volume of chip and debris material. That's also why I have these outriggers on here. Because when I was doing the crane, when I had the crane on here, I'd put those down and swing out, pick up stuff, come back. I originally had these for the ramps and then realized the ramps could fit in there, so I just don't really ever use these anymore. But they were for the ramps to mount to the side of the trailer. This is a big issue with all the Big Tex trailers we've ever used. The hinges, this is super thin. Like, that's not so thin, you know. It's not an 1/8 inch or so. This is 16. Super thin for a door, and they have these hinges welded to it, and the smallest little bump of a log or whatever, if the doors aren't shut and supported in the back, it tears them. So keep that in mind. You'll see that every one of these has had to be re-welded, and not just on mine. I've got to rebuild the ones for my friend. My friend's got the 14-foot dump trailer, and his are the same way. Oh, I got a ratchet strap out here. So there's the PT, brand new Kohler engine in it, right there. Yeah, there's the brand new Predator, sorry, the 670cc. Actually a super nice motor. The worst welding job ever on the, I couldn't get this crap. We'll talk about that in the future. And then the new seat I put on there, it's a little high. It's a suspension seat. So my head hits the ceiling now. So I've got to adjust this. I'm probably gonna cut this off and raise it a few inches. There are the aluminum ramps that I use over there. That is my first trailer I ever bought. The one with that tank on it. This is my friend's Big Tex 140D, or I think it's 14OD or something like that. So you can see we've got a problem. I've got to rebuild these doors because I am a metal fabricator as well. I only use my friends when I don't have time, which is pretty much all the time. But look at that. So one of the doors, these are dumb. They do not work. These are the worst design ever. So we use the straps to hold them back, but one day one of these let go and the door was down and it ripped, and that's what caused that. And one day we were loading and it came unlatched because something had gone awry and the log hit it and did this. So yeah, it's Big Tex has the most affordable trailers, but they don't have the best quality trailers. This one has lay down sides and the sides wobble a ton. The solid side ones are a little bit better. They are a higher wall when they're solid side though. So just keep that in mind. This is like a 18-inch side or something like that. And not terrible, but it's not the best either. And you can just see everything is so thin. Like the little PT hitting it with that pivot just dents this thing like crazy. It's just super thin wall. I really need to rebuild this, reinforce it for my friend. So yeah, we're gonna, and you can see this thing is super bent, super wobbled out. This was my first chipper ever. I actually traded it to my friend. I blew this engine. It had almost 4,000 hours on it, and it dumped oil all, I mean, it just came out and went all over my client's property. At least it was out in the woods, so it didn't get all over the drive. I have a video up on there somewhere in the past. I'll try to reference that. But this thing actually ran really well. It's a little 625A. They don't make these anymore. I think the smallest you can get now is the 700. But yeah, that thing was that thing made me a lot of money too. I think I paid $6,000 for that thing. And then the other day I was loading equipment and somehow I was moving around and both of these cables or hoses were laid up, and a piece of wood or something pulled this, and oh, you can see it pulled that up too. Yeah, I've got to undo all this and put it back together because it just pulled the trumpet off and pulled the nut off and lost the hose. So I had to buy the hose, the coupler, and they sent me this whole J piece, it looks like. So I've got to replace that. Like I said, I got a lot of stuff just sitting around that needs to be repaired. That is okay. The bucket's okay. The skid just needs its maintenance, like we talked about. I need to clean off the back grill from the forestry work we did. Those are my old C-bar tracks. I've got the new Z pattern, which, you know, there's a lot of stuff I need to talk about because it just depends on what you're doing. But yeah, some of this stuff is not as great as it seems. This is the Bobcat Scarifier, and I have already ripped off 3 teeth and bent 1 shank with this thing. For $2,000, I just don't know if it's worth the money. Not from Bobcat. Probably spend your money on something else. I bought it because it was the only company that had one in stock that wasn't $4,500. So I bought it, but kind of wish I don't wish I hadn't. I just wish it had lasted longer. So I got a Lincoln Porta torch. I've got to heat that thing up, bend that back, and I've got to weld on the teeth because this swedging isn't working. And then over there I've got the Bobcat, which is really a blue diamond force grapple that I have adapted and modified to fit on the PT, which does work, but the PT needs some counterweight in the butt end so that it will not flip over forwards. And I have flipped the PT, I think 3 times now using that grapple. So yeah, and the other day I had to use the flat deck for brush because my chipper's up in the mountains and I got to go grab it. I've got equipment all over the western slope of Colorado and I've got to go get it all down. In fact, I have more work to do up in the mountains that I've got to get to. So we've got lots going on around here, I'm sure, like all of you do as well. And we're going to get over to this job. We're going to see what we can get going with everything. All right, so that was fun. I unhooked the trailer just to hook it back. Michael's over here getting line set. We're working on these trees on this property, trying to get the big dead out of them. A bunch of silver poplars and cottonwoods, just to make the homeowners feel a little bit more safe. And he's got his line set. He's gonna be climbing while I'm running around town getting stuff done, and then going up into the mountains to get my chipper. It's been sitting up there. I've been waiting on a few things to happen. They haven't happened, so I've just got to go get it. I've got about an hour's worth of work up there to do. Just unhooked this trailer, like I said, only to find out that I got a call saying that the stump grinder had been checked out, and they kind of have an idea of what the problem is, and so it's something that definitely can be fixed, but it's not what we thought. So now I gotta go pick that up, and I gotta get in touch with Vermeer about getting parts. So there is that. That's always the fun part. So I'm gonna have to see what happens today with weather, because they're saying 70% chance of rain this morning. Fun fact about the percentage of rain, which a lot of people now know due to social media posts on Instagram and whatnot, but there is so the idea of 70% chance of rain, for instance, is that 70% of the area that they're talking about, so in our case Montrose County, will get rain in that time frame. Now that doesn't mean there's a 70% chance that it will rain. It means that 70% of the area will get rain, and whether or not you're in that area or not is the question. So yeah, we're moving on to see what we can do. They're saying 30% chance of snow tomorrow, which it's super early in the season for us to be getting snow. They've been saying that we might actually have a mild snow season, which I could handle that for work for sure, but if it's snowing this early in the season, we will have to see. It won't stick. It's way too warm. I mean, it's 60 degrees today, so there's absolutely no way it's gonna stick. But yeah, definitely something to be on the lookout for us in the next couple of days. So now I've got to run back to the yard. I've got to get the ramp so that I can load the stump grinder, and then I am going to have to go back, unload the stump grinder, and then I'll have to unload the trailer, and I will be back running around town. I've got to also do the bid this morning for the county still. I don't know what's going on. The last few weeks have not been my weeks. Well, the last month and a half has not been my month. Like, it's been kind of a rough go with equipment for a year and a half now, but that was mainly the skid, like having a major issue that Bobcat couldn't figure out. But the last 2.5 weeks have been like non-stop, just piddly repair annoyances that like are coming out of nowhere. So they still make this trailer, which is the Big Tex, what is this thing, the 50 SR, I think it is. Technically it's a 5,000 pound trailer. And I say technically because it handles way more than 5,000 pounds, believe me. But I don't know, man, like every hydraulic hose, every engine, and every piece of equipment I own in the past month and a half, even with maintenance. And these aren't things that you have to always do excessive maintenance on. It's just like the time of use. It's all coinciding, all in like the same, yeah, all in the same go. And it's very, very frustrating. So what we've got here is today, the trailer sprung a hydraulic leak, and I'm going to try to not get the camera dirty, but those hydraulic hoses right there, those are the culprit. As you can tell, this trailer is kind of low to the ground. I would have thought that the outriggers would have protected it when it was scraping the ground a little bit, but somehow, just going over dirt hills or whatever, the ground has abraded those hoses, and one of them has sprung a massive leak. Now, this isn't like the end of the world. It's not a super cheap fix by any means. It's probably going to be, you know, I mean, it's not super expensive. It's going to be $150, $180, something like that for the hose, I'd say, because it's not just a short hose. So the hose goes from the pump all the way under to about midway and attaches to the hydraulic cylinder. And then, of course, you've got to feed it through this tube, and they did a nice job of creating a system to protect it under the underbelly, but they didn't put any kind of guard in the area where the trailer, the hose bends upward. You couldn't use a tube real effectively there, but they could have put like a bolt-on bash guard there that was just a piece of flat metal that was bent, you know, curved up, which is exactly what I'm going to do with it. So that's pretty frustrating, to be honest. It's not something that I wanted to have to fix, because problem with this one going bad is, unlike the other piece of equipment, there's kind of workarounds with it. This one, technically, I guess there's a workaround with it. You could just like not dump and shovel out, but that's not ideal, right? So other things, I went to the scrapyard on the recommendation of a friend of mine, and I got 3 cutting edges for buckets. That one's brand new, never been used. That thing's a beast. And I am going to make some land planes for the skid and for the PT. I'm probably going to use this bucket here as part of the effort. The bucket's all torn up and stuff on the bottom, whatever, but I'm going to use the bucket, and I have a new bucket over here, and I'm going to use this bucket to put that grapple on this bucket and have a new grapple bucket that's a solid pan. I also have a grapple bucket for the PT, but it's a skeleton bucket, and there are times when hauling brush across a yard that I would prefer to have a full a solid pan bucket with grapple, because there's a lot of small debris that you can scoop up in those solid pans, and it wants to fall out, but if you have a bucket on it, it makes it better. So I mean a grapple on it makes it better. So we're going to do that with that. This one is going to become a skeleton for the land plane. I'll show you some of what's wrong with that later. And yeah, that's what we've got going on. Picked up all 3 of those super heavy duty edges, and I mean, they've got good edges on them. I'm not going to use the bolt holes. I'm just going to weld them on or re-drill and bolt through another area. But those things are super expensive. This one's brand new, never been even attached. I got them all for $117. Not bad. I'm super stoked on that. So yeah, still have to go pick up the stump grinder with that trailer that's not running like it should, and I've got to get this bit in. All right, everybody, so today I had to pick up the stump grinder from Landworks here in Montrose, Colorado. They've been open, I guess, for a couple of years now, or a year or so. Seem to be doing really well. They are the local Husky rep. And as you may know, I run mainly Stihl, but that's not because I dislike Husky. I'm not a fanboy. The reason I run Stihl is because for a long time there was no Husky representation in this area, and I would have had to driven 30 minutes to the local shop when there were like 4 Stihl shops within 5 minutes. That's why I run Stihl as a general rule. However, years ago, maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I was actually sold a used battery powered Husky saw, the 540 LIXP maybe, and now they have updated and different things like that. I have a video that's coming out really soon for the Stihl MSA 220, or the 220 MSA or whatever it's called, which is their newest battery saw that is a little bit more powerful than the one that they had before and all that stuff. They gave me a demo saw to work with. I did some crane work with it, and then I did some removals on other stuff. But Jason with Landworks here in Montrose told me that he's got the brand new Husky T540i XP, which really comparable in weight and things as the MSA 220 or the 220 MSA, however you say that, from Stihl. They have gone away from that bucket battery to the pass-through battery, so your battery comes through like this, and it has that double click feature that the first one had, which makes it harder for the battery to fall out, which is nice. It's, I gotta tell you, this battery is a little bit harder to get out, but if you push it from the back side, it's not that big a deal. I have not run this saw. We're working on a way to possibly do that here in the near future. That way I can see how it runs. We don't have a chain on this one because it's just sitting out, but it has the eco button on it like the first one did. Has your power button on it. One thing that will win me over with this saw is if it doesn't shut off in 3 seconds. Okay, I'm already a fan. This one's better than the Stihl in my opinion. The Stihl has a weird feature for safety that the battery just shuts off I want to say it's like every 3 seconds or something. So you go to make a cut, it's off, you have to hit the button, you have to turn it back on, you have to make the cut. And it's just an annoyance more than anything. It's not a major deal, but it is less ideal. So the red flashing light is off. Definitely has a different sound than the other one had. I'm really interested in giving this thing a go, see what it's like. So you can buy this saw in a kit now, and the kit is 2 batteries and a charger, and they are the BLI 200 batteries. And I've got a little cheat sheet here that Jason put together for me so I don't forget anything. The kit with the 14-inch bar, the saw, 2 batteries, and the charger is $1,000, $1,059.99. For Landworks, I guess everybody will be kind of hitting MSRP on that. And then the bag, so this bag with the charger and 2 batteries is included. So you get the saw with a 12-inch or 14-inch bar. Sorry, a 14-inch bar, 2 batteries, the BLI 200s, the charger, and the bag. The BLI 200 batteries give you about an hour and 15 minutes of pruning time. They give you 30 minutes of cut time for logs, and they have a 2-year commercial warranty. Now, if you want the 300 BLI, you can get 2 hours of pruning time, 1 hour of log cutting time, and they're $319 each. You have to buy those separately. As far as I can tell, you don't get the option of having those brought in the kit. So keep that in mind. You have to figure out what your value there is. Is your value in buying the 300 BLIs for $3.19 each for the extra 30 minutes of log cutting and the extra 45 minutes of pruning? Or is it better to go with a kit where you get everything for $1,000, $1,060 really, and you have an hour and 15 minutes of pruning per battery and 30 minutes of log cutting? That's up to you guys to figure out. Also, you can replace the saw if you need to, buy the saw, and it's only around $650 for the saw, if I remember correctly, $680, which is way more affordable than what the saw alone used to be. So that's something for you guys to think about. So I hope this is beneficial for you guys. Once again, we're at Landworks here in Montrose, Colorado, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye. All right, so Jason and his crew here at Landworks in Montrose, they are suppliers of Boss snowplows as well, and he is a Walker distributor and not distributor, a retailer, and works on that a lot. He's been looking at my skid. We thought it had an oil leak, but what we found is that it was just some oil built up under the engine that had from a loose oil filter that was coming out. But we do have a issue with the hydraulic block. That diverter valve under there is leaking, as you can tell just from it sitting here and running for like a few minutes. So I'm losing tons of hydraulic fluid out of this thing, which we knew. We've been trying to chase down problems, what's going on with it and whatnot, and that's what we're dealing with. So yeah, good times. Not really. So now I'm just gonna get this thing loaded and we will be on our way. And Jason has a nice shop. He's really easy to deal with, really nice guy. So been glad to find him. He does a lot of small engine mechanic work. So if you are in the Montrose Delta area, Ridgeway area, something like that, you might want to give him a go. And let's get this thing loaded. So the stump grinder fits perfectly in this little trailer. It's super handy for this thing. I've used this for years and years doing this, and yeah, really nice. We're gonna get on our way.